What do you got, Abby? Where are we starting off at?
Okay, first one. Who has the best opportunity to make a huge jump this offseason?
Well,
Go ahead, Sean.
It's a broad. I mean, there's a lot of answers you could go with on that.
Do one.
I think Ja'Cory Barney could make a big jump. I mean, he's already got the repetition and the experience, but I still think we all know there's a lot more there. And with better receivers around him, where they can't just focus on him underneath, I could see Ja'Cory Barney making a big jump. But, defensive line guys, there's a ton of guys you can go with on the defensive line.
Elijah Judy. Riley Van
Elijah, who are you saying?
I'll go Judy just because he is the veteran in that room. He's going to be the guy that has to lead the way. They've got a lot of other younger guys that can take a massive jump, but this is Elijah Judy's time. He's the veteran. He's the old man in the room. He's got to lead that group, and he's got to make sure that all these young guys take that next step. So just because of the responsibility on and off the field, I think Elijah Judy's got an opportunity to really be a significant piece.
Okay. I'm going to pick one that I'm surprised it gets overlooked consistently in this sort of conversation, Dylan Raiola. I think he's going to take a mega jump. I think you're going to see the 5-star talent. I think he'll be protected well. I think the receiver corps has improved. Some of this is dependent on how well Heinrich Harburg has adapted to tight end, because I think he could become a key weapon. It's also a little bit dependent on Carter Nelson, I think. But I think Dylan this year, we see the quarterback that we all sort of envisioned when he was recruited. We didn't see it a lot last year. We saw it at times. Sean always mentions the first half of the Illinois game where we were all sort of in awe of what we were seeing. Illinois changes up its defense. Nebraska doesn't adapt particularly well. And from there, I think there's kind of a blueprint after the Illinois game. So that's what I'd say.
What do you got next, Abby?
Okay. So who are your post-spring single-digit predictions? So here's who have single digits for a reminder.
Oh, God.
Vincent Shavers is 1. Marquise Buford is 3. Malcolm Hartzog 7. Deshaun Singleton is 8.
So there's 6 more guys beyond that.
Yeah.
That's assuming that everybody keeps their numbers.
Yeah, they have to come up with 6 more guys. I would assume.
Let's make this a group effort.
I think Dylan Raiola gets one.
Now, does Dylan change his number?
He was 15.
But he was 1 in high school, right?
Yeah. Does he change his number? That's a good question. If I was counseling him, I'd say, no, don't change your number. Let the other guys do this.
I mean, the single, I get it. It's cool, but do we overthink this?
Yes.
Do we just not need to do it?
Once the guy gave back his single digit, I was like, all right, this tells me everything.
Who gave it back?
Jamari Butler. Remember, he went back to 10.
Yep.
And gave Shavers a single digit. So that to me, I don't know. I get the symbolism of it and just kind of what it means for where they stand, but I don't know. The actual numbers don't do much for me.
I would say
because Dylan is that guy, obviously, but is he going to change his number? And will it does he become part of that conversation?
Like Emmett Johnson, could he be one of those guys?
Yes, absolutely.
Dane Key,
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Now here's the other part of the discussion. I always feel, Abby, a little bit uncomfortable with those type of questions, because to know that, you really have to know what's going on behind the scenes all the time. That's who gets those the guys that are consistent behind the scenes, and we don't always know that. We have a sense, I guess, of it, but we don't know everything.
Marquise Watson Trent I could see him getting one.
I think so. Yeah.
Sun Belt Player of the Year.
McGahee.
Shavers.
Yeah.
Well, Shavers got one, but didn't really get it like the traditional way.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a number swap.
Right.
So he's kind of got one by just swapping with Jamari Butler.
Mm-hmm.
Sierra
Wright, I would think, would be in play. We're naming the best players. That's kind of what you do, right?
I just think of the guys that weren't already single digits that go to the podium. Because to me, when Nebraska handpicks a guy to come up there and represent their program in that controlled environment of a post-practice press conference, that speaks volumes, not only to where they stand as a player, but where they stand in the eyes of the coaching staff.
They give one to the new long snapper just because they got that part right.
I don't know if anybody would argue that one.
Heard that's going well, by the way. I think they got one.
Good.
What do you got next, Abby?
Okay. This is way too early, but which player on the current roster do you think gets drafted the highest in the next year's NFL draft?
Pritchett.
Mm.
Elijah Pritchett.
Yeah, I think Rocco Spindler is at a different position where you're interior lineman. Like it's hard to get drafted high there. Like for next year's draft, though, I mean, there's a lot of guys you can still like. I mean, you could put Desan McCullough in that discussion.
I don't know. I answered.
Pritchett's been speculated already. Interestingly,
on a first round mock,
Yeah.
one first round mock.
Yeah, one first round mock.
He's got to get a lot better though.
Oh yeah.
So like that's assuming he makes
Right,
a big
100%.
jump, which by all accounts he's doing everything possible to get there.
I think he's got that kind of talent, Rob.
I'd go Spindler. I mean, I think I don't know if there's a wrong answer there, but if I had a vote, I would give it to Spindler just because I think he's the more consistent, established player that has that pedigree to him. And if he plays the way that people expect him, I know the value of an interior lineman isn't what it is at tackle, but I mean, a day 2 pick is certainly not out of the question.
Dane Key should have a pretty good chance to get drafted. I mean, I know a year ago before he came to Nebraska, I think he was considering just going to the NFL and entering the draft.
Right.
So I think that's another one to watch. But I just have a hard time seeing a guard get drafted really high.
It happens.
You've got to be like elite.
It'd be like all American.
God, if he's
level.
all American.
But it's not abnormal at all for day 2 picks.
Because Notre Dame let him
There's
go
not a
because they
first-round
told
pick
him
on
they
the
were moving
roster.
on from him. I'm not saying he's not a good player, but Notre Dame let him go because they wanted to start playing younger players.
Yeah. I wonder. Yeah.
I mean, if you're being like, because that Notre Dame just didn't let him go. Like,
Right.
I mean, or like,
No, they did.
they
just
or
let
they
him
didn't try to keep him.
Right.
Like they said, yeah, this is probably best for everybody.
But you could say that about Pritchett a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I
mean,
Alabama was surprised.
Okay.
They were surprised.
What is the dynamic there?
I
mean, if Alabama wanted to keep him, I think they could have kept him.
well, I
right?
think Nebraska came in with such a high offer. I mean, but like he commanded Isaiah World type money. Isaiah World is projected as a first rounder, and he visited Nebraska. And then Pritchett was kind of their next guy, along with Shiaz Pete.
Yeah.
And I have not really followed Shiaz Pete where he's at. I don't even know if he was on campus for spring ball, if I remember right.
All I'm talking about with Pritchett is potential. Like if he lives up to his potential, I think as a left tackle, if he's a dominant left tackle, then he'll have a good chance.
Shiaz Pete's at Kentucky.
Yeah.
Which that one still shocked me.
Does it though, Sean? Does it shock you knowing what Kentucky will pay, knowing how they'll screw up the market? Does it really shock you? And knowing the desperation at Kentucky, does it really shock you? Does it really shock you? They're desperate. Stoops is in a bad spot right now. They paid what they do with the running back at Nebraska.
Just
Funny money.
Put a huge offer to
Strange
Dante
offer.
Dowdell.
Yeah, Dante Dowdell.
All right, final question.
What is your favorite U.S. state to travel to in the summer?
For me, it's easy. It's Florida. Even though the heat, obviously, and the sun is no joke, but big fan of Florida. I will also say, when I lived in the Northeast for a summer, Newport, Rhode Island,
Okay.
was one of the coolest places I've ever been to. And
Newport, Rhode Island?
my family up there, and they listen. You met Michael and Taylor in New York. They live in Virginia now, but their dad, Michael's dad, was the XO officer of the Naval War College base for the U.S. Navy. So I'd go up there, and that is just an elite East Coast vacation town, with big like historical mansions. Like JFK and Jackie Kennedy were married in Newport, Rhode Island.
You got my attention on that.
It's a cool place.
Yeah. Never thought of that one. Good job.
Colorado.
Yeah, you like that.
It's an easy one.
You're like a rent a cabin for the week guy, and
Love it.
And
Hike. Love
Hike.
hiking. Love hiking. And, depending on
that's your age
who's
group.
with me on the trip, maybe do a little fishing. I'll do a little fishing. No hunting, though. But Colorado is a mainstay, and Wyoming is creeping up in there because we got my in-laws. I got some family up there. So we've gone out there the last few times, and it has a lot of the things nature-wise that Colorado offers with like a third of the people, which is nice. Other one, go out east, out to like Hilton Head Island area.
Wow.
And last summer we went to Jekyll Island. So I'm starting to discover the East Coast part of kind of that South Carolina, Georgia, North Florida type, that little series of islands that go up the coast. That's my honorable mention.
God, I don't really have.
What's yours?
anything-
Council Bluffs,
Yeah, Iowa.
Deadwood.
Yeah, Iowa,
Sioux City.
Sioux City. The hiking thing has always been lost to me. I think the only way I'd hike is if I was kidnapped and told I had to hike.
Come on, connect with nature.
Hey, we've been on some fun trips though. You've been to Hawaii.
Yes. Okay. Can I just say Hawaii?
You can. It's a state.
Waikiki
I've never
Beach.
seen you so like at peace in our time in Honolulu.
Yeah, Waikiki Beach, a public beach, was very nice. I thought, and I could see going back there. I did love it. I'm going to say Hawaii.
Doing our shows outside by the pool.
The North Shore is where you go. I think if you're a Nebraskan, the North Shore is the less touristy part, right?
That's
Wouldn't
the
you say that?
historical kind of agriculture and just traditional part of the island.
It's a little more raw.
They don't allow like a Starbucks on the North Shore.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
non-
North Shore of Hawaii is where I'll say.
I mean, when we were driving on the North Shore, there were chickens on the road.
Chickens all over the place. The waves were coming in hot. That's where a lot of the surfing is. I don't know Hawaii very well, but I like the North Shore area.
We pulled off at a food truck and had these corn dogs.
They're excellent.
It was all that we were like, we needed to eat lunch. And we just it's biggest corn dog I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful trip. God dang it. Maybe we'll go back and see
Yeah,
Dayton.
maybe we'll see Dayton out there this summer or this winter.
Got to add a player though, don't they?
They will.
Okay.